Hello everyone and welcome back to the Educated Cold Snap channel. How you doing? So today I just wanted to talk about my experience getting to Infinite and the 3 decks that I used to climb. Let's get started. So I do want to start off just showing like I am Infinite. It didn't take me too long, like maybe like a day's worth, maybe a day and a half's worth of playing, 6-7 hours. But generally, just wanted to talk about my particular decks that I use. I will say there's still some MMR issues. I'm still getting like a decent amount of bots. Fortunately, Infinite should be a lot better, especially after people start populating and getting up here. Maybe like immediately after I hit Infinite, it's still mostly bots because there isn't enough people, but definitely a lot better now. So let's go into the decks that I use. So the first deck I want to talk about is my Sera Enchantress deck. I believe this is the one. So I've made a video on this one in particular, so I'm not going to dive too deep into it. If you want like gameplay and stuff like that, you could definitely check out some of my previous videos. I definitely have one on this exact one, so you can definitely find some guides there. But the main idea, Sera is super strong right now. I would say definitely the best Series 3 card in the game, and just with this and Zabu, you get a lot of control in how you want to particularly do your final turns, and you have your Darkhawk or Enchantress Shang-Chi late game win conditions. So it's just a nice, powerful deck. The Scarlet Witch adds to the flexibility, maybe dealing with some sticky locations. And then I wanted decks with Killmonger in it just because of Nebula, just to have that alternative way of messing with your opponents. I just thought decks with Killmonger would probably perform better than decks without it. So this was a deck I had that I liked playing that runs Killmonger, and I already have a lot of experiences, so it's good for climbing because it's not going to be difficult to pilot. You're not going to be into too many novel situations where you don't know exactly what to do. So I used this at the beginning. I did switch it up because I wanted something else. I wanted to just see if there were other better lists or so, and I just wasn't really super wanting to play it the full time. So I did change from this deck, but this is what I definitely started with, and it felt good. It felt good through my play. I didn't really struggle. I do want to say, obviously, people are going to talk about they don't have Jeff. I want to say, if you don't have Jeff, what you can do is you can just play Lizard. So Lizard isn't too bad. It did get nerfed, but you're running Enchantress. So there's a lot of scenarios where you could just go Lizard and then last turn play Enchantress there as well. You do have to be a little bit more cognizant of playing Lizard in a lane that might want to take an Enchantress later on. So that's a little bit more like being aware of your deck and saying, oh, where am I putting this Lizard? Where might they want to play their Sera or Zabu or whatever they is, then try to, contest in that way, just for that kind of turn 4, turn 6 surprise. So definitely something you can do. If you don't have Darkhawk, that's a different problem. But I did make a Sera deck without Darkhawk, so now you're going to be using Hidmonkey. So if you don't have Darkhawk or Hidmonkey, you could definitely take out Hidmonkey and play something like Lizard, or wait, there's like Sera or Armor or something like that if you don't have Hidmonkey. But if you wanted to play a Sera deck that's like the same style, but you don't have the Darkhawk to really supplement it, then I would definitely recommend using something like this Hidmonkey variant. So that would be my initial first deck suggestions, at least for what I played. Second deck I played was my Trident 2 Patriot. I pretty much always try a deck like this at the beginning of the season just to see if people are lazy and don't have answers. I want to say that this one was the worst performing out of the 3 that I played. It's not like I didn't climb, but it definitely felt like a struggle. So I wouldn't necessarily say, oh, I recommend this. I think I could have changed this deck to be a little bit better. So I think Khazar is maybe like out of meta now, and I'd probably replace this. I'd probably replace it with where are you? Probably replace it with Super Scroll initially. I just think it has better matchups if you play a Super Scroll into a Khazar. This thing is not really super carrying me or anything. Second thing I'd probably do is probably take out the Dr. Doom. I just don't think you win a lot of the time with it. And I'd probably put in some type of counter tool, maybe like Leech, right? Something like Leech. Where are you? So if I were to like change my deck to kind of to make a deck that I feel would be better against the meta, I'd probably change it to something like this. This could also change, honestly. Since you're already running 2/5s, you probably don't need 2/5s, and maybe you'd run like another 6. So here you could bring out the Dr. Doom back, or you could play Onslaught. Onslaught's not as crazy though here, but I could definitely see it. Honestly, I think the 5-drop is fine as well. So I'll leave it for this like now. I think if I ran this, I'd probably get a little bit better results, but I didn't do super crazy good with this. It felt like I was definitely spending a lot more effort to get the wins than maybe I would with other decks. So I played this for a little while, maybe a couple hours, and then jumped into the final deck that I used for the rest of the climb. So final deck that I used to climb was Deathwave, Doomwave. So I like this one a little bit because it has a nice effect, right? Wave is pretty good into a lot of the flooding decks, and I just like the ability to go She-Hulk Doom or She-Hulk Death Doom. Just a lot of big power play at the end. And once again, I wanted a deck with Killmonger, so this is just something I was thinking about. I don't know if there's going to be significant amounts of nebulas in your games, but I just always know that anytime you have a season pass, unless the season pass is really broken, which I didn't have nebula for my climb, so I might have played a different deck with nebula in it if I did, but I didn't have nebula for my climb, so I just had to kind of adjust or so and play something like that. So that's kind of why I didn't have any nebula decks, but I've been testing nebula. I think she's good. You just don't build a deck around her. You just use her as a very strong 1-drop, and I think you'll have a lot of success with that card. So this one just had the Killmonger variant for dealing with nebulas, and I just like the way it played in the final turn. So those were the 3 decks. If you don't have the hood, you could probably either do you could either do Iceman, or you could just play a big guy. So like Arrow. I have Enchantress here because I just thought Enchantress is a little bit more meta. In the meta right now, there's a lot of people with ongoing decks. So I just thought I'd rather have Enchantress than Arrow, but Arrow is like the normal thing here. So I just took that out. But if you don't have the hood, then you can definitely play something like Arrow. I think that would be perfectly fine. So those are the 3 decks that I particularly used. I'm actually not saying that these are like the best decks. And my experience is like you could climb with a lot of things, and it doesn't really matter too much as long as you know your win conditions. There's so many viable decks in the game right now, in my opinion. So that's kind of cool because usually that's not the case. Usually there's like a super dominating thing. I would say like maybe Jeff Stature is like the new hotness that a lot of people are playing. But other than that, like I think you can really run and do well with a lot of decks. So I'm not suggesting you should copy this list word for word or anything like that. Just play what you're comfortable with, and you should be doing well. I'll probably make a more in-depth guide for decks to play in this season later down the road. And I'm also working on my series 4 to 5 tier list. So those 2 things are something I'm working towards. But I wanted to make a video just kind of showcasing the decks I use because everyone seems to do it. So yeah, I'm just part of the group. But anyways, that's all I got for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care of yourselves and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Educated Colin Snap. Once you watch him, you won't go back. He'll teach you to marvel snap. Your skills will be